Hi, this is Jerry and
Gerald.
And we're coming to you today to discuss natural remedies to stop coughing. Is there something that you can actually do to help with that? And there is a lot of things that you can do. Now, I will introduce my son today, who is a nationally registered paramedic and is studying to enter the flight medic program. Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. So he gets to fly around in helicopters and have a good time, and I'm stuck here at the lab. But at least he comes by to see me, so that's cool. And he said he will jump in and help with a lot more videos, and I certainly appreciate his expertise from the medical side. We're fighting as hard as we can from the naturopathic side, so I thought you needed to hear a little bit from the other side as well. And he has a love for natural remedies as well because he grew up that way. So today, remedies for stop coughing. Anything that comes to mind that just off the top of your head would be something to make that work?
Sure. Just in the field, for responding to a 911 call, there's all kinds of reasons you could be coughing. Pneumonia, tuberculosis, issues with your lungs, CHF, bronchitis, asthma, you just name just a broad spectrum of stuff why you could be coughing. If you can get past why your body may be systemically fighting something, ask yourself then if there's something you can do to release the pulmonary pressure and extra effects of the exertion of coughing. Maybe you've got something that's allergy related. Maybe just exclude some of those things from your environment. Get out of that place that's causing you, proper protective equipment when you're mowing the lawn. Don't be that guy who's like, I don't need a mask. Just put the mask on, breathe through the mask, and enjoy yourself and get the job done. And then, deal with your allergens later, decreasing all those exposures after you've gotten control of your medical ailments, if you have any. First thing, hydration.
More than anything, a lot of people get dry mouth or dry throat, and they'll start coughing. And as you get older, a lot of people will actually confuse the sensation of thirst with the sensation of hunger, and they'll go in and get something to eat, when in fact they should be just drinking 8 to 10 ounces, maybe more, of water right then and there, because they're out working. In my clinic, naturopathic practice, I hardly ever see somebody who is properly hydrated. Most people say, well, I don't drink my 8 glasses a day. Where does this 8 glasses a day come from?
Depends on the glass.
Oh, my goodness. Somebody's 100 pounds. They drink 8 glasses a day. Another guy is 300 pounds, walks in. I ask him, guess what? It's 8 glasses a day. I don't know where that came from, but the whole point is it's half your body weight in ounces. So if you're 100 pounds, 50 ounces of good, clean water a day. That's going to give you a lot more fluid in your system, a lot more fluid for the operation of the lungs and the throat and everything that has to do with breathing, because you need that hydrated properly to work properly. So you'd be surprised how fast you can stop coughing if you're not dealing with some kind of health problem, as Gerald had indicated. Some have COPD or Lord knows what. If you just are a healthy person who has started coughing and it's irritating and you just want to stop, first thing to do is, are you a smoker? Then stop. Do you drink a little too much alcohol? Stop. Cut back. Those two things can cause major problems, and they do cause people to cough. And as he said, don't be that guy. Put the mask on. Do those kind of things. And if you're, I had a friend who would eat hot stuff, and he would eat the habanero peppers, hotter the better. Well, one day I was out at a restaurant with him, and he took a bite of something, and he started coughing. He turned every color in the rainbow. It turned out that his throat, I looked at his throat was as red as blood red because he had eaten so much extremely hot food, hot peppers, and his thing was habanero jerky. He burned the inside of the throat, and he ate something at the restaurant. He had to go to the bathroom, and he coughed for literally 20 minutes trying to get his breath. It wasn't because anything was hung in his throat. It's just that he had finally burned his throat so badly that his body was just screaming at him, "Stop! When are you going to treat me properly? This is insane." So you can have those kind of responses to coughing as well. But I have a little product I'll show you. You can't see it up close, but anyway, it's called 3 Drops Sinus Response. So the idea is that here in Central Texas, one of the things I've done in my clinic is I've harvested a lot of the local flora, every kind of tree, leaves and grass and pollen and flowers, anything that's blooming in the springtime and early summer. I'll harvest that and I'll put it into a jar and stuff it into a 2-gallon jar and add 2 liters of basically 190 proof alcohol. And then I'll fill out the rest of the bottle, which is 2/3 of the bottle, with distilled water and a little bit of colloidal silver. And that material, after about 6 weeks, produces a material that is really a tincture of everything that was in those plants. And you're really floating around all the allergens that we normally breathe is now suspended in this liquid. So then, in order to avoid your response, your allergens response, you take 2 or 3 drops under the tongue every morning, and you tell the body, okay, these are the antigens, the allergens that you just want to pay no attention to. It's no big deal. You just kind of keep an eye on those, and they're not going to bother you today. Well, in fact, the body knows how to do that. And as my grandfather used to say, the old drunks would get up in the morning having a hangover, and they would take a little shot of whiskey to get going. And he referred to it as the hair of the dog. Well, we'll say it's the allergens of the plants every morning. So it's a kind of a thing where you can, in fact, make that yourself. It's not that hard. And the only thing I would say, if you go to make that yourself, is don't harvest something that you've sprayed with various kinds of fungicides. That's not cool. Harvest something that you know is organic, and use the sanitary practices to do that. And if you stuff it in a jar, put the liquid on it right away, because if you don't, that all the materials in that chlorophyll can become very, very, very hot, and actually can burst into flame in a day or so. That jar can actually burst into flames. So it's something where you want to put this in there and put out the fire right away and extract all these materials. But that can be used as a remedy to avoid irritating yourself to the point where you're coughing. So my grandmother used to make a cough syrup from a plant called horehound, and she would take that and boil it, and that liquid she would put in a bottle, and if you had a little bit of a cough or tickle, she would give you a tablespoon of that, and sure enough, you didn't have any more of a cough. So that is something I'm relearning as a naturopathic doctor. All that has been lost to us. So any other ideas you have for coughing that might be effective?
Well, just in general, if you're coughing often enough to have a reason to stop coughing because you're concerned, of course, see your doctor.
That's right. Absolutely.
And make sure you go through the rule outs. The rule outs that mean you don't have an infectious disease that you could be spreading by coughing.
Right.
Or that you don't have a systemic infection that you're going to have to deal with later if it gets worse. Of course, find out why you're coughing if you can, and then do everything that you can to like my dad said, decrease inflammation, and of course stay hydrated. Sometimes just taking a drink is enough to wash the allergen that may be irritating your trachea, your airway. If you've got an irritation close to your epiglottis, which is the separator in your throat that allows you to either swallow or inhale, in that, what you could also call your voice box. If you've got something irritating you there, you can flush it off by having a nice cool drink of water. And of course, if you want to take off an irritability from oils from eating hot foods, you may want to.
You said something a while ago, though. We were talking before the video, and one of the points you brought up was it doesn't hurt to use a neti pot once in a while or some nasal flush, because that is where some of the post-nasal drip comes from. Yeah. And actually, I had a friend who would sniff. It drove me crazy. He would sniff and sniff and sniff, and then he'd cough, and he'd sniff and he'd cough. Finally I said, George, why don't you blow your nose? Come on.
His name may or may not have been George.
It didn't, probably Henry, but anyway, I said, George, why don't you blow your nose? Maybe you get some relief. And I said, just can't stop. And look, go try it. He came back and he didn't cough for another couple of hours. We had a great time.
Sorry, George.
It's just like there's something there that maybe you're not even aware that your nasal cavities are filled.
If you were if you were a CPAP user and you don't clean your mask, you're going to have problems, and you may start coughing.
Yes.
If you're a BiPAP user, same thing. There's very little difference in the hardware, except that you want to have a mask seal, and you want to have the ability to give yourself forceful inhalations and supported exhalations, and so that way, if you are manipulating your airway in that way, you could be giving yourself pathogens that if you didn't clean out are only propagating. And so watch that. Don't smoke if you can. If you are a smoker and you consider transitioning over to the vaping cigarettes, which I understand a lot of heavy smokers are I don't want to say benefiting from, but essentially they're getting away from the smoke, the carcinogens, the things. If you can make the transition or get yourself a patch and get off of smoking, please do so as soon as you can, because the coughing, the excessive pulmonic pressure, your increased chances for getting hypertension, your increased chances for getting a busted capillary because you're just coughing so hard. You don't want to exert yourself so much. And of course, find out why you're coughing. Why? That's part of, if someone calls 911 and they say, hey, come help me, I have to not only figure out how to help what their ailment is, but I need to find out potentially why they're having that ailment, or why they suffered what they suffered that made them get to the point where they call 911. But general maintenance, getting up to this by avoiding the inflammatory factors and staying away from the allergens, staying away from the things that cause you trouble, smoking, all the extra environmental stuff that you can go through. You can then have yourself that meet in the middle maintenance of staying away from your pharmaceutical interventions that you may need.
Well, we have to tell you, we don't give medical advice, but we certainly tell you, seek medical advice if you feel like you're in a situation there. Everything that Gerald has said is just common sense that you would discuss with your medical professional. Now, if it's on a maintenance basis, you can come and talk to a naturopath, and we will talk about various things you can do. But again, if it's chronic, if it's continuous, and it doesn't go away, please seek medical advice, because there are a lot of things going around now that are imported into this country, and people fly all over the world. You can bring in a pathogen from on the other side of the world in as little as a few hours, and all of a sudden there's a lot of people sick. So we don't know. And so if you're relatively healthy and you end up with this kind of situation, just remember common sense. Until next time, this is Jerry.
And Gerald.
And we look forward to being able to answer a lot of your questions. We get these ideas for these videos, which we present every single day because of your comments and your suggestions. And now I'm very humble with some of your kind words. We really appreciate that as well. And we'll continue to bring this. If you like what we're doing, please hit the like button. And if you would like, we'd also love for you to subscribe. Sometimes we add across the top of the screen, we add some links to be had as well. So until next time, be well.